Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here today recording episode 160. We have another special On the Road Again edition. I was in Shanghai a little while ago, and we are going to talk about that today. I'll share my experiences with all of you about what Shanghai was like. I was only there for a few days, and I'm really hoping to go back, but we'll get into that a little bit more later. But it was a great time. Shanghai is a beautiful city, and I highly, highly recommend it. And I'm sure my co-host and my good buddy Jared is excited to hear about it as well. So without further ado, my good buddy Jared, what's going on, Jared?
I am so excited. I am so excited to hear about it. Did you have any preconceived notions before you went to Shanghai? Anything that was on your mind, concerns or excitement?
So I did actually. It was kind of funny. I've heard from my colleagues at the university and some of my friends in Beijing that for some odd reason, Shanghaiers, or I don't know what the correct term is for people who live in Shanghai.
Shanghai, bro.
They are, apparently they think they are better than everybody else because they think that Shanghai is better than everywhere else in China. I did not get that vibe, but then again, I met more expats than I did locals from Shanghai while I was there. I wasn't really sure, though, what to think about that. And I'm going to tell you what, man, I think Shanghai might be my favorite city in China.
Okay.
Just going to go out there and say it.
All right, well, we'll get more into that later. That's a little teaser. That's a great teaser because I already have 6,000 questions that I want to ask you, but I'm gonna hold off.
Perfect.
And we'll get back to that later. But for now, please spread a little love. Follow us on Instagram. By this point, you know that both Chad and I have been on the road again. Obviously, soon you'll be hearing about my On the Road Again adventures. You'll see some more pictures from Chad's On the Road Again adventures when this episode drops. Hopefully, I put that out there. Do you have any more than what you already sent me?
I'm going to send them to you right now before my
perfect. Are you
lazy New Year's brain forgets?
Chad's New Year's resolution, I've decided, is to send Jared all the pictures. Not all the pictures. 99% of the pictures.
That's a very good resolution.
And so I'm glad to see that Chad enjoyed himself on the road again. We'll talk about that. I enjoyed myself on the road again. We'll talk about that soon, a little later, though. Follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Email untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can also give us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher.
Пожалуйста.
That's Russian for please. That's where the love really gets spread, and we love to see those. I send them to Chad all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I think people actually are listening to this thing. Or else why would they have done this? So please.
That's true.
And that way more people can, wow, that's a big building. That way more people can listen, and more people can spread a little love. Chad, I know you, this is your first year you spent abroad. This is your first year you spent away, but you still traveled. Away from home, excuse me. You still traveled. I traveled.
Are you sure about that, Jared?
What?
Where was I last year?
Oh, excuse me. I meant to say away from your family. Excuse me.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
Very confused. Okay.
But a good thing to do if you're going to be away from your family, it's been a while, excuse me. A good thing to do if you're going to be away from your family is to, I think, explore, get out of the house, I think is good for the soul.
Absolutely.
It's not good to sit at home and wallow, that's not going to help anything. And we have been doing this podcast for more than a year at this point, and we talked a lot about travel in the past year, but in general. And the site I love to go to called Lifehack, right? I don't like to bring it up, I like to keep some of my sources to my sources, even though this is a giant website. And they brought up, all the sites are doing blah 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 of 2019, blah 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 of the decade, and this is the best travel hacks of 2019. And I saw this, and of course, my untranslatable brain peaked when I saw this.
I'm excited to hear them.
How do you feel about TSA PreCheck and or global entry?
I like it. I don't have it yet, but I've been thinking about applying for it when I'm home in the States over the summer. Just because I think it's super convenient. From what I've heard, it's really easy. It's quick. I think it's really great. I'm not really sure how that works, though, in terms of actual legitimate security screening.
I can tell you the process real quick.
Let's hear about it.
I'll tell you my opinion first. I agree with you. Like, it seems like a no-brainer, but at the same time, I am one that I'm not reckless with it, but I tend to cut my travels pretty closely. You know, I don't like to do a lot of waiting at the airport, and I don't have
you were
TSA
doing
pre-check.
that before this, though.
I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
This is just how I travel, and I hate sitting at the airport. And like pre-check seems like an obvious thing. Some of my family members have it; they swear by it. But I have never been caught up, and so I think just because of that, my laziness has stopped me from getting it. Even though I still know, in the long run, it's probably still a good thing to have. To get it, it costs $85. You have to pay when you apply. It lasts for 5 years. It does not require a passport, and it requires a 10-minute in-person interview and to get fingerprinted after filling out an online application. And
worth every
and
penny.
According to
if you travel a lot by air.
According to Lifehacker, they claim that it saves at least a solid 10 minutes on average at the airport. Now, Global Entry is a little different. That a program run through Customs and Borders, so that's more international based. Pre-check is more just getting through TSA security specifically. So that's going to be domestic
United States.
Domestic
Correct.
United States travel. Yes, Global Entry is a customs run thing, so that's for international travel specifically. And instead of but I believe with Global Entry you also get. We'll read. And instead of getting you to your departure gate quicker, it expedites your re-entry into the U.S. Instead of having to complete a customs declaration form and wait in line to speak to an agent, you visit a kiosk to complete your re-entry processing and show your receipt to an agent. I'll say this. They don't really do, at least here in Detroit, they don't really do, even for normal U.S. citizens that don't have Global Entry, they don't do speaking with a person anymore either. It's all kiosks now. At least the last time I came home from an international flight. And it arrives by mail in a few weeks. And then they say that saves at least 3 hours to an hour and a half international. And that actually can be pretty helpful if you have a connection. Because a lot of those connections that they do internationally, say you're coming in from Paris to some big airport like Atlanta, for example, I don't know, but you're really going to Minneapolis. So you have a layover. A lot of those layovers that I've had are an hour and a half. And in your head, when you're booking the flight, because the deal looks good, you're like, I'm not gonna do this. It's gonna take 10 minutes for me to get off the plane. 40 minutes for me to get through through the customs. It never works that way.
No.
And
Or 30 minutes to get off the plane.
Sprinting, staring at my phone, at my watch, like, please don't close the... So I think it's worth it, but I think the problem with me personally is that I usually wait until something goes wrong for me. Like, fine, I'll get it. Now let me ask you this: when you get to you do tend to get to the airport early. Sometimes I do. Yes. Sometimes it happens. I can't. Sometimes I can't avoid it. Mm-hmm. Do you are you an airport drinker? Or a restaurant goer?
Not usually. It's not like one of those things. Why I get there early. I get there early just for peace of mind when I travel, so I'm not sprinting to my gate.
Well, I'm not saying that's why you get there early, but have you ever maybe had a layover and you're like, well, I'm starving. I had a terrible little Biscoff cracker. I mean, it tastes good, but it's not enough to satisfy you. I'm going to eat a little bit. There's an Applebee's and I don't know.
Right.
And I'm gonna and since I have a 3-hour layover and nothing to do in this random city, I'm gonna eat something and get drinks. Or a drink.
Well, I can tell you the last time I went to Montana, which was I think 4 years ago now, we were in Minneapolis, and I forget the name of the place, but there's some really good sandwich place in the airport. And so I went there with my mom, had a couple beers, and had a tasty, tasty sandwich. I couldn't even tell you what kind of sandwich it was now. And then when Max and Irma's used to be open in the Detroit airport, I would always go there. Sadly, they closed. Max and Irma's was an awesome restaurant in Michigan. They had the best chicken tortilla soup. I could eat that thing by the bathtub load, Jared. I mean, it is just...
that would get some views on our YouTube Follow us on YouTube and watch Chad eat chicken, whatever that was, soup out of a bowl.
Tortilla soup.
Whenever I go to, occasionally I've gone to an airport and gotten a drink. Every time I get a drink, I'm like, this is dumb. I'm getting 1 or 2 drinks. This beer costs $7, and it's a Bud Light. It's like, why am I doing this? But I feel like it's more just a boredom thing, you know?
Yeah. But absolutely.
It always feels like a ripoff. So I saw this and I was like, what is the best drink to order at a I mean, they say crappy airport bar. I guess that makes sense. Some airports have like fancy restaurants and bars and stuff. Juice. Sometimes, well, they say you cannot go wrong. Actually, even if, you cannot go wrong with ordering something and soda. And I assume at that you can do the something and juice as well. You know, like it's always a safe route, particularly if you can pick the brand of your spirit, gin and juice. Do you have a preferred gin? Tanqueray.
I like
Bombay.
Beefeater myself.
Beefeater, okay. I've been growing into a tequila person recently. You know, I drink a lot.
I like that.
I'm a red wine person, but I also drink a lot of Topo Chicos, which is a very aggressive sparkling water. And you put a little lime into that, a little tequila and Topo Chico. It's a simple and delicious cocktail. At the airport, though, most airports don't have Topo Chico on deck. What they recommend as the most the best drink at a crappy airport bar is a 50-50 mixture of red wine and Coke.
Ugh, that sounds
I've
nasty.
never heard of this before in my life. Reason
What
one.
is that drink even called?
I have no idea. A garbage bag. I don't know. Reason one, it doesn't matter if the wine is shitty, you're going to be mixing it with Coca-Cola, which will obscure the more nuanced flavor. Listen, if you're at this point, you have a problem, and what I would recommend is, if you're traveling domestically, get those little small, single shot glass things. Those are about 1.5 ounces, I believe, or 2 ounces, which is the limit for what you can travel. Put 5 or 6 of them in a plastic bag, and you can travel through TSA with them in your checked luggage. That would be the cheapest way to drink. Don't listen to that stupid list.
Also, how many people have legitimately ordered red wine and Coke?
That is I've never heard of that before.
Me either.
Like, is that a thing?
Either.
Red wine and Coke.
Is it? I'm very curious if that's actually a thing.
Calamaxto is a drink consisting of equal parts red wine and Coke-based soft drink dating from the 1970s. It has become an icon of Basque culture and one of Spain's most international drinks. Calamaxto is served in bars in shot glasses, short glass tumblers. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. I've never heard of it either. You never have to swap seats on a flight. I don't really. For all people pleasers out there, we're here to tell you you do not have to agree to change seats when asked. Seating assignments are first come, first serve, or in many cases something you've been paid a premium for, or you have specifically assigned ones, which means getting the seat you want is each passenger's own responsibility. Now, it's been a long time since I've been asked to move with someone for my kids or whatever. But if I'm in an aisle seat specifically, let me put it this way. I like to think of myself as a generous person. If I am sitting in an aisle seat or a window seat, I don't care about your family. I don't care about your grandmother. I am not switching seats into a middle seat, as I'm probably not going to do it.
That's fair.
But if you have a window or an aisle seat, we might be able to negotiate.
Work something out.
Throw in a couple, maybe 40, 50, but no, I'm kidding.
Throw in some Coke and red wine.
I'm kidding about the money, but I'm serious about not giving up a seat for a middle seat. Middle seats are terrible.
Oh, they're the worst. They are the worst, for sure. I agree with you.
All right, now that's just a couple travel hacks for now, by the way. We don't have to get into all of them.
I was actually just going to say, though, Jared, that it is kind of a dick move to not switch seats with somebody, but you have definitely changed my perspective a bit. Because, if they're like, oh, yeah, it's this seat right here, and it's like the middle seat, and I got two husky passengers that I'm going to be sitting in the middle of. I may not be generous enough for friendly enough to switch.
You know, you're not being an asshole for saying no. It's like I'm not required to do this, and just for your I don't know. Just because I'm not towing to some random person that has a need, it's like, oh, you can't. You like, oh, your friend. It's like you and your friend cannot sit next to each other for an hour and a half. Sit down.
I need to take your authoritativeness, Jared. Next time,
maybe don't go that hard
to do that.
A marshal's gonna step in.
Fuck down. Many fregista.
A marshal's gonna step in and tackle us. But that's just a few of them. Maybe we'll get into some more of these later because some of the. Let me actually do one more. This one really bothers me internally because of the way I act to it, not because of anyone else, but because of the way I react to this.
Is it don't wear headphones when you walk around the airport? Because I feel like you would feel very personal attack if that was one of them.
I'd say this is the dumbest thing ever. No, I wouldn't even read this list if that was on the list. How to get away with free go-go Wi-Fi during a flight. Free Wi-Fi during a flight.
I want to hear this.
Well, I now what they do is that you can do texting for free on but I don't text that much, and I'm not just gonna try to find
plane. Yeah, can you really not wait an hour and a half?
But the funny thing you say is because you're also that's my problem with the tempting of the free Wi-Fi. I've been on a lot of domestic flights recently, going maybe 2.5 to 3 hours, and I get antsy. I'm an antsy person. I listen to podcasts a lot, but that's just headphones. Then I just sit there, you know? And I get antsy, and I scroll through the previously loaded tweets on my phone before I put my phone in airplane mode, but it doesn't cut it. And so T-Mobile, if you have T-Mobile, I'm sorry, but also you do get free Wi-Fi on a lot of airplanes. It's a long, tumultuous thing. It's not worth it. I'm going to be honest with you. And that's the problem. And what I'm getting at is that we don't need to rely on the Wi-Fi, but it's sad that this is what life has come to, is cheating Wi-Fi on airplanes. What's your go-to entertainment on an airplane?
Well, if it's an international flight, most of the time they have the headsets.
It's the movies,
and I'm watching movies.
That's a good point. But what if you're doing 2-hour to 3-hour flights or train rides?
Kindle. So reading.
You're a good reader,
or just sleeping.
You're a solid sleeper. That's my problem. Is I can't sleep.
Not on planes, but I got those Dre Beats studios before I left for China, and I tell you what, man, I popped those bad boys on my ears, and they do a decent. I mean, I wouldn't say they're a perfect noise canceling headphone, but I did not realize how loud my airplane was from Detroit to Shanghai, because Detroit to Beijing, because I had those headphones on basically from when we took off until when we landed. And I remember taking them off for a minute just to kind of let my ears breathe. I don't know if that's a thing, but anyways,
I know what you're talking about. I've been on long
and I was like,
before.
holy shit, how is this playing this loud? I didn't even realize it. But
are they noise canceling?
They're supposed to be, yeah.
Well, because well, that's where a noise canceling thrives. Not when it thrives when there's a consistent consistent level of sound like that. That it doesn't work if there's a lot. It doesn't work as well if there's a lot of people talking around, or if there's maybe you're in New York City and there's horns honking with people talking. That's not where they thrive. They thrive with that constant sound. I love that feeling of just drowning out that sort of background airplane engine hum. It is that noise is. Some people like that as a white noise thing. To me, it's sort of yeah. I like to blast that out with a big, and I don't even have good headphones, but even just a pair of over-the-ear headphones pulled up to a pretty high volume does a pretty good job of drowning that out. But obviously not as good as a noise cancellation system. All right, that's all I have for now. Let's spread a little love. Do you have any?
I do.
Any shout outs for us?
Of course I do. I have one. from our episodes now on, unless I find some really, truly extraordinary articles, I'm going to try to keep it to one shout out per episode now.
Okay.
Although I love to spread the love, I've decided, made the executive decision, so we have more time to talk about untranslatables and our main segments.
I think I agree with that decision. Mm-hmm. I like that.
My shout out today goes out to the country of Finland, because Finland is the only country in Europe where homelessness is in decline. So this is according to the article. So Finland has set itself a target. No one should have to live on the streets. Every citizen should have a residence. And so in Finland, they have something called the housing first concept, which has caused the number of homelessness to fall quite a bit. So the way this works is, since the 1980s, Finnish government has been trying to reduce homelessness. Short-term shelters were built. However, long-term homelessness people were still left out. There were too few emergency shelters, and many affected people did not manage to get out of homelessness. They couldn't find jobs without a housing address, which is kind of interesting. And without any job, they couldn't find a flat. It was a vicious cycle. Furthermore, they had problems applying for social benefits. All in all, homeless people found themselves trapped. So they had this homeless first and housing first initiative, and then some NGOs such as the Y Foundation have been providing foundation for people in need. They take care of the construction themselves, buy flats on the private housing market, and renovate existing flats. The apartments have 1 to 2 rooms. In addition to that, former emergency shelters have been converted into apartments to offer long-term housing. So there's been a very high success rate of this, and I think it's really amazing that Finland has been doing so to reduce the number of homeless people in their country. So I think that's great. Mm-hmm. Very fantastic. So
listen, it's been a while since I've been on. It's been a while since I've been on the soundboard. I meant to do this.
Betcha.
That's right. So we send our love and admiration out to the Finnish government and also the homeless people of Finland who are slowly getting houses and getting back on their feet. So we think that's really great. Well, Jared, now I think it's time to cover the namesake of our podcast and time to do some untranslatables.
Yes, I agree. Dude, it's crazy how
there we go.
Quickly I get out of my fast working fingers here, you know? I feel so slow on my soundboard.
You'll get back into it. I'm not worried. I'm confident in your abilities. Yes. I'm going to start us off today, Jared, with a Chinese untranslatable, which is Isha I, Arsha R, which means 1 is 1, 2 is 2.
It's like, that's obvious. It's like, it is what you think it is. There's no hidden message.
Not quite. Would you say the numbers 1 and 2 are simple or complex numbers, Jared?
Simple numbers.
Okay, and
it's like it's like easy as 1, 2, 3 ABC.
You know, I like where your head's at, but sadly, that's not quite what it is.
Now I can. Wow.
That's true. But well, here, let me give you this teaser to my explanation of it, and maybe it'll help you. So wonderfully simple. It uses humble vocabulary, and its literal meaning is not difficult to grasp. However, its figurative meaning transcends its modest language use.
Is that supposed to be a hint?
Not? That was supposed to be a hint, yeah.
1 is 1, 2 is 2. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and as long as you keep putting your head down and and trying hard, you'll be wrong.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm steering you the wrong way here.
Yes,
basically,
you are.
It means find beauty in simplicity.
Oh. Find beauty. Mm-hmm. 1 is 1, 2 is 2. Okay. I mean, I guess I hear it, I understand it, but I don't know how. Okay. Listen, we're all on our personal journeys here. Some of them involve giving clues. My next untranslatable is Romanian, and it's Kababa si mitralira. And it, oh no.
What?
I'm such a fool. Hold on. I, what I do in my notes is I put, the literal than the translation, and I looked at the translation, and it happens to be the exact same thing I just read. Like drool and a gun. And a machine gun.
Drool and a gun.
Excuse me.
Drool and a machine gun.
Like an old lady with a machine gun, excuse me. That's what I meant to say.
Like an old lady with a machine gun.
Sababa si mitralia, like an old lady with a machine gun.
Is this like I'll believe it when pigs fly?
No. So machine guns usually are large. They have big rounds, which would give a big kick. So you have to have
recoil,
some muscle and some control of your body to handle them. And
so it's like
if you were to
handle
have
something.
I'm going to give that to you. Yeah, a person,
Ooh, all right.
a person or object massively unsuitable for the job at hand. So it's like I don't know if this is the right tool for the job here. This might get messy.
That makes sense.
This might get messy.
Well, my next untranslatables for you, Jared, are actually Cantonese, which is a language used in the southern part of China. I picked it because Shanghai is the southernmost point which I have been so far in China. Now, I will tell you, I believe in Shanghai they just speak a different dialect of Chinese and not Cantonese. I could be wrong, though.
Okay.
But these were also really interesting, so I wanted to share these with you and the listeners today. So the first one is Singla. And Singla, or Singlay, I'm not sure, literally means, sing means rise, and la is short for the English word level.
Rise level.
Rise level.
Is it like to gain confidence, or is it to step up to the task of something? Like it's time for me, like to face your fears, or to be honest with someone, or okay, I'll stop.
You're giving a lot of good guesses, but I'll give you an example,
even close.
Jared.
None of these are even close.
Well, your first one was kind of close a little. I think it might be able to get you there. Your first one about confidence.
Okay.
So confidence, building confidence. So, for example, Jared, say I have a fossil watch. Nothing wrong with fossil watches. I think they work great. They're fine. But, I decided, you know what? We're making some bank here at the Untranslatable Podcast. I think it's time for me to get a Rolex. And I said, Jared, I've been saying that
for a while.
I write the new Untranslatable rap song Hit, and one of the song lyrics says, went from a fossil to a Rolex, Singla.
Ballin'?
So basically means to level up or to... it's a way to express enthusiasm about a favorable improvement.
Okay.
So I'm leveling up, bro.
Singla.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that. Okay. My next untranslatable is Sinhala, which is spoken in Sri Lanka. And it's Hisarderta Kote Maru Kala Wage. Like changing pillows to get rid of a headache.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
Like changing pillows to get rid of a headache.
So is this like doing everything you have to do in order to achieve something?
No. So let's say that you're telling me about you're telling me about your car, Vic, and there is you ran over a nail, and you're like, oh no, it's perfect. I have this liquid cement, Elmer's liquid cement that I got from Target, and I just rub it over the tire, and it's good for a day and a half, and it won't go. And I just keep doing that every day and a half, and I'm good to go. And I'm like, dude, that's like changing pillows to get rid of a headache.
So it's like doing something that's a waste of time, or doing something that like doesn't make sense.
Yeah. One should try to fix the problem by finding its actual cause.
Okay. So just buy a new tire. Buy a new tire.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's fair.
Chad, buy a new tire.
All right. That's right.
Hey, have you considered buying a bike or something while you've been there?
I actually, well, so if I end up doing this next year as well, which I'm really hoping for, I think I'm going to shell out I think it's only like $150 and get one of those little electric, it's kind of like a moped. Yeah.
So you need to be there for at least a year to make that worth it. The 10 months would have made it worth it.
I think so. Not
so
really,
but you-
because
but you-
I'm
but
close
what would you-
enough to work.
What would you buy before you go before you like your break between the next semester? Because my question is, where would
Yeah.
you leave it? That's what I'm asking.
I can leave it. Well, so that's the other thing. I have to figure out some logistics. If I'm staying in this apartment, I can just leave it in this apartment. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I
couldn't.
didn't mean to make a hard
you're,
left
you're
there.
Good. You're good. You're good. It's an important question. All right. My next one for you is ying, which means type or model.
Type or model. This is also Cantonese.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just like it's like your type of person? Like this is the person you're into, attracted to?
I will tell you this is actually a term that you
Or like
only
cool.
use for men. Oh,
like-
I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give cool to you.
Oh wow!
It means it's a Cantonese slang term for a cool, stylish, handsome, or attractive man. I was thinking of
wow.
you, Jared, when I was looking at this one.
Oh jeez. All right. Wow. I can't even. I don't even know how to respond to that. All right, Chad. Speaking of all these, I guess not specifically Shanghai terms, but Southern Chinese terms. You were in Shanghai for the first time, from what I've heard. When did you get there? Now, I know we've broken all sorts of time, space, blah, 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 blah. Forget it. Just talk to me. We're here.
Okay,
It's you and I.
will.
I'm curious
I
about
will.
this because I feel like I've lost you for a bit, and we've lost each other for a bit on our journeys.
Our listeners don't know this, but yeah, it's been about 2 weeks or so, I think, since we have actually recorded a podcast. Because of the
and
holidays.
really,
It's been
I mean, not talked, but had any sort of substantial conversation.
Correct. Very true. So let me paint this picture for you and the listeners. So I had to. So I went with my girlfriend and her younger sister to Shanghai. I have to give my girlfriend a lot of props because she booked a really beautiful 5-star hotel in a great spot in Shanghai. We were near like the shopping district and not too far from the Bund. I'll get to what those are in a moment. But let me
I have a
paint
quick
you the
question.
picture.
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is
Go ahead.
Airbnb? Do they have Airbnb in China?
They do. I haven't tried it or used it yet, but they do have it.
But they do have it. Okay, just curious. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, they do have it. So anyway, I'll paint the picture of the trip for you. So I had to finish up the semester here at my university in Jinan on Thursday. So my girlfriend and her little sister actually got there on Thursday night. I wish I could have joined them Thursday night because I was only there for 2 nights, which was not enough time at all. But anyway, so I'll paint the picture. So Thursday night I was finishing my last classes. So I went on Friday morning, and the earliest train I could get was it left Jinan West train station at, I believe, 7:30 or so. So I got to the train station around 6:45 or so. Had my McDonald's breakfast. It's kind of a tradition. If I'm at the train station in the morning, I always get a McDonald's breakfast, sausage McMuffin and a hash brown. So had that, and then I boarded the train. The train was 4 hours and 22 minutes. It was a nice little train ride. I slept for a couple hours, and then I finished. I've been reading the book The Witcher. Finished the first book of the series, which was fantastic. And then I finished it early enough where I also spent the last hour just looking out the window. I always pick a window seat when I can on the trains just because I like to look out the window and see everything. I tell you what, man, it was very, very different scenery than what I have seen in my province and when I go to Beijing. So you see a lot more water, lakes, rivers, stuff like that. It's a lot greener down south, one, because I think it's a bit warmer, and most of the trees still had leaves on them because I think it's just a lot warmer. The coldest it got while we were in Shanghai was about 40 degrees. And it was about 55 to 60 while we were there. So that was a really nice change from Jinan.
And
but it was just a beautiful train ride.
I assume the train's also the best and maybe one of the few ways for you as an expat that, struggles to struggles to have the resources to maybe explore areas of China. That's probably a good way to see like the maybe more rural areas, the less less populated areas too, because obviously you get a good glimpse at a lot of the big Chinese cities, but you might not get as good of a glimpse at all these rural or tiny areas that you're not going to be presenting in.
Right, and that's really why I enjoyed go way back to some episodes we did about when I was in Harbin. That's why I enjoyed the train to Harbin, because I also got to see more of rural China, which was really cool. So the train ride was super nice. I love the high-speed rail here in China. It's not very expensive. It's very efficient, very clean.
Smooth.
So that was good.
Quiet.
Yep. It was interesting, though, because I started to realize that I was getting closer to Shanghai just by the clothes that people were wearing. They weren't wearing as thick of a coat as I was. They definitely weren't wearing like a winter hat or gloves or anything. That's when I started to realize, like, oh, I'm getting close. But the interesting thing, though, is that the big railway station is fairly far away from my target destination once I got into Shanghai, which was Disneyland. So the first day, we spent the entire day at Shanghai Disney, which was awesome. Super fun. I will tell you, though, Jared, I traveled without any bags because I knew I was going to meet my girlfriend and her younger sister at Disney. I didn't want to have the hassle of like carrying around a backpack with like my laptop and clothes and everything all over Disney all day.
So what was your plan?
Well, I gave my girlfriend just like a change of clothes before I left Beijing.
Okay.
So she took that in her suitcase. But I tell you what, man, it was really freeing, but also really strange walking around the train station without any bags.
I feel like it would be very freeing for sure, but I feel like I'd constantly be like, "Oh, where's my bag?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I don't have a bag."
Yep, exactly.
Or like constantly, like how like whenever I travel and maybe I don't carry my keys with me, I do that pocket check
hate that.
like 6 times more because I'm like, no, I don't want to bring my keys with me. I should not have keys. This feels so wrong.
Exactly. So I got to, but here's the crazy thing: is it took forever. Well, it took over an hour for me to get from the train station to Disney because they're basically on opposite ends of the city. Also, the most expensive cab ride I've ever had here in China. Let me do the conversion right now.
How long did it take? Can I guess? Was there a lot of?
Go ahead and guess.
How long did it take? I need to at least know some.
It was about an hour and maybe 10 minutes or so.
Was there a lot of traffic?
Some traffic. A couple spots where there was a bit of a traffic jam.
60. And you're going to convert it to American.
Yeah. I have it converted
US dollars.
A lot of our American listeners, though, are going to laugh when they think of an hour cab ride. That's all I'll say. And me complaining about it.
$56.
$29.42.
Dude, get the
205 kwai.
You're wasting my time with these. $29 is the most expensive you've ever paid for a taxi.
The most I've ever paid in Jinan and Beijing and anywhere else has been 105 kwai. So half of that.
Oh, you mean in China? I think you meant period. I was like, you've never paid more than $29
for not period. Not period. Here in China.
Okay. That's an amazing amount of money, though. For like, if you compare it to the United States. Wow.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. The funny thing was, though, so my girlfriend and her sister got there an hour earlier than I did. Maybe an hour and a half. And they waited about a good 45 minutes in line to get through like security and then get their ticket. It took me literally like 10, 15 minutes because I got there an hour later because I got there around lunchtime. I think most families get there, especially with little kids, they get there a lot earlier.
Right. Not during the lunchtime for sure.
Right. So that was kind of nice. And then we walked around for a bit. I was really hungry. And so was my girlfriend and also her younger sister. So we decided to go to what was it called? Barbarosa's Bounty was the name of the restaurant. It was a pirate theme, as you can tell. Pirate theme restaurant. We got actually the food wasn't too bad. I got pork ribs with
It was expensive
rice.
though, wasn't it?
Well, so with our ticket, we had an 85 RMB meal voucher. So we paid, I think, 25 RMB for our meal, which came with a drink and then the pork ribs, rice. I think there was like some broccoli and carrots on there. And so we ended up paying per person.
That's funny. In the United States,
and 50 cents for our meal.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So not
That's a
too
pretty
bad.
good deal. In the United States, there is not one amusement park that has broccoli or carrots within its vicinity at all.
It's actually against the law in the United States. You're not allowed to have broccoli or carrots.
Who are you trying to fool here? Get these out of here.
Elephant ears, cotton candy, lollipops.
French fries,
Right.
chicken tenders, and nothing is cheaper than $10.
That's right.
Including the water bottles.
Correct.
What kind of
But
rides do they have at Shanghai Disneyland?
I pretty much same as all the other Disney places. I mean, I've only been to Disney World in Florida, and I was like 5 years old, so don't ask me too much about that because I don't remember much. But
now you're not a huge roller coaster fan, but as far as I remember, I haven't spent a lot of time at Disney either. Disney not really huge. Disney doesn't really do big roller coasters. Like they don't really do scary roller coasters.
no, not like a Six Flags or a Cedar Point would.
Right.
Correct. That's very, very true, Jared. I think
Like they're not
the
trying to scare the
audience is
shit
like
out of
families and children.
Yeah.
Right.
They have a
Right,
younger
exactly.
audience. Maybe I think Cedar Point and Six Flags might be more geared towards like teenagers, maybe
Right.
middle school, high school, and up kind of ages that want to
Correct.
thrill.
But I did ride one ride that it was called Rex's Racer. You can feel free to Google it. I'm sure you can find it.
Come on, I'm
And
way ahead of you.
It's kind of like if any of our listeners out there know anything about like skateboarding or like the X Games or extreme sports, it's like a half pipe. So it's like a U-shaped ride, and it goes up pretty high. We waited like over an hour and a half in line for this thing. It was fun, but it was a little terrifying. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Oh, there's a ride at Cedar Point that's similar to that. I can't think of what it's called right now, but I've seen something similar to that. And that's a legitimate ride for sure. And the thing about that one is it is that half pipe, and I think the scariest part is getting to the end of each side, feeling like you're about to fly off the end of the and just keep soaring into the sky.
Yep.
I could definitely imagine that, but that's a proper roller coaster, and that kind of goes along with my recollection. I've been to the Disney in Florida as well, and it's like you get like one or two solid roller coasters, and then it's just like kid stuff,
More for kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had like an Alice in Wonderland maze that wasn't really a maze, but it was still fun. There were a couple good spots to take some pictures. What else? There was the Seven Dwarfs ride, which was super fun. But the highlight of Shanghai Disney, in my opinion, was the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. That one was one of the longest, and they had some of the best. Like they had this really cool thing where, you're in like it looks kind of like a little boat, and you go through this spot, and then you see like what's a screen. But the way they designed it was, it looks like you're about to be engulfed in the ocean. And then it's like you're underwater. And just, I don't know how they did it, but the graphics on this thing and everything, it looks so realistic. It's crazy. I will say, though, I should have known this when we went and got on the ride, but we get in the ride, and obviously all the dialogue is in Chinese. So
Right. I mean,
I had no idea what Captain Jack Sparrow was
stuff.
saying.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
No, like, yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question. So, you're not a huge amusement park person, but you've obviously been to amusement parks in the United States. What are some, I'm putting you on the spot here. What were some things that just jumped out that you feel like you would never see in the U.S. or like, oh, that's weird? Besides for obviously food was different. We know that. We talked about that.
Right.
The amusement parks in the U.S. don't bother with healthy food. Like that's not even a consideration really, unless you're going to like a hotel or something. They don't bother with that.
I think everything was pretty standard at Shanghai Disney. I don't think there was anything there that was specific Chinese. I think if I went to maybe an actual Chinese amusement park, I could give you a different answer, buddy. But I think it was all very I felt it was weird. Like Disney in itself kind of transports you in this weird, like I don't know. It's they at least in the States they say it's like the quote unquote happiest place on earth.
Right. If
I
you're
will
a psychopath,
say I think it's
sure.
hard. Well, I guess I'm a psychopath because I feel like it's hard to be in a bad mood when you're there.
Sure,
it's
for
just
sure.
like you have all that great stuff. I think the only way you can be in a bad mood is if you're a 5-year-old and your parents didn't buy you the cotton candy you wanted, or you couldn't get a picture with Goofy or Cinderella or whatever.
And I think Disney, Disney reminds me almost of McDonald's in a sense, where it's like what it is selling you is that no matter where you go, you're getting essentially, obviously they have some slight differences for the for the location or whatever, but for the most part, you're getting the exact same experience. You're getting the exact same service, and I feel like they try to make it as much as like you could almost walk through all 4, 5, 6, however many Disneys that they have, and not even realize that you're in a different country unless you were to like maybe go up to the food counters or whatever.
Right. Exactly. We could talk for hours on end on Disney, but I want to touch on a couple other things in Shanghai. I will say this, though. If you go to Disney, make sure you get the Shanghai Disney app. The app is amazing, and the app actually it gives you a map, and it gives you the wait times of all the rides and stuff, which was super helpful for my girlfriend, her younger sister, and I to decide which rides to go on next, kind of plan our itinerary. So check that out, Shanghai Disney app. They have a version in Chinese, a version in English. Really fantastic. So that was really cool. So that was my first day in Shanghai. We spent pretty much the entire day there. But the night was still young, Jared, and my girlfriend and I decided to go to this really cool spot. 13. She'll be 14 in February.
Okay, so she wasn't along for the entire party.
No, she was pretty tired and went back to the hotel room. We went back and changed real quick. And then we went to this really cool spot called Found 158. Go ahead and type that in your Google search engine, Jared. This is a really cool kind of underground little... It looks almost like an open-air mall, but it's all bars and restaurants in Shanghai.
Ooh, I haven't looked it up yet, but I already like how this sounds.
And we went to really great...
Now, let me ask you this real quick. Does your girlfriend, she know Shanghai? Like,
I believe that was her first time there, too.
So, okay, so you didn't really have, like, a tour guide by any means. You guys were both sort of going at this as noobs together.
Going in blind.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that makes a difference. Because if you were going into it with some insights, I'm gonna think about this trip maybe a little differently than if you were just
of course.
Going into it blind.
Right.
Food.
I'll tell you
said,
man.
Found 158, not Food 158.
Found 158. Yeah. I will tell you though, buddy. In terms of usually, I do a little bit of research or homework before I travel because I was finishing up the semester. I didn't really have a ton of time to do so. So I went to Shanghai with little to no knowledge of what to do or what to see.
Now, let me say this real quick. In classic Chinese fashion, Found 158 has a vibe set that's very cool. A lot of that vibe is set by cool ambient lighting. The Chinese seem like they love some good ambient lighting.
Yeah.
And I just pulled up a sort of a top-down view, and I see a lot of cool ambient lighting. And I see what you mean by a lot of bars along the side. Is there food in there too, like bar restaurants?
Oh yeah. So we went to a German craft brewery place called Zapfler, and they had some amazing food.
Now, are you just saying that? You don't have to just say that because you're talking about a food that you're not a foodie, but you are very experienced with German foods.
So we got a what was it called? It was called Sharing is Caring was the name of it, and it was basically like a sample platter of appetizers. I will tell you the appetizers were not very German-esque. They did have schnitzel though, and they cut it into pieces. That was super delicious.
They should be good at a schnitzel, it seems like, because it seems like they got fried chicken down pretty good there.
Right. Yeah, the schnitzel was good. Then there was popcorn chicken, chicken wings, fries. They had a bunch of other German stuff. I didn't try it just because it was a little expensive. And it was also kind of late. I will tell you, though, They also had homemade nachos, and I haven't had homemade nachos since I've been to China. And I was like, you know,
that makes sense.
I know this is a German place, but I'm going to try it out. And they were actually really good, really fresh, still warm, kind of thin and crispy. And we tried a bunch of the different. We got a flight to just try a bunch of their beers. I'll tell you what, man. Zapfler in Shanghai has one of the smoothest Kolsches I've ever had. Went down real smooth, was super delicious. They also had a good wheat beer.
Did you do
all
any...
sorts of tasty stuff?
Okay. So is this the first time in a while that you've like gone out like that, or since you've been with your girlfriend, has it been easier for you to find these experiences?
Since we've been dating, we go out to eat quite a bit. Also go out for drinks once in a while.
Maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what did Shanghai offer you that you like? Oh man, I wish we had this in Jinan.
I think the quality of food was just fantastic. It was a little bit more expensive, but I think that's to be expected in big cities. So the food was super delicious. Had really diverse, like different type of food. The nightlife was great. We went to Found 158. First went to the German place, then went to like a little sports bar for a bit. And then there was this really cool Brazilian place that had Brazilian cocktails and also had Brazilian cocktails, and they just had great music, like a lot more like Latin vibe type of music. We went there and danced for a little bit.
Is it? It's music by DJ, not live music.
Yeah, DJ.
Okay,
DJ. The entire bar was basically just a big dance floor, and then there was a bar.
You danced too?
I think. Oh yeah. We got our groove on. It was super fun. Met some super cool Italians that were there for the New Year, which was fun to talk to them and have a good time. Then we went to one bar. It was actually closed. We tried to go to another one near the hotel.
Well, hold on. How'd you find these things though? Because you mentioned that neither of you guys
The Italian guys. We were talking to them, and they were going to this other place.
So the first place you Googled or whatever, and you found like a bar.
It was a recommendation
or restaurant
from a friend.
Okay.
Found 158 was a recommendation from a friend.
That's something that I think is a great tip. Is that if you're gonna go on a trip anywhere, don't be afraid to ask for recommendations at work. I have friends that like sort of acquaintances at work that are big travelers, and even if whether I know they've gone there or not, I'll always be like, "Hey, I'm going to blah blah blah. Do you have any recommendations on blah blah blah?" And a lot of times, someone in my area will know something. Always start with the local, with the personal recommendations. I would say
absolutely
those are stronger than any Yelp or Google, because you know these people, you're friends with these people, so theoretically you should trust their opinion.
100%.
Or don't trust them.
If
those
you
are
are
places
going to
not
Shanghai,
to go.
Right. If you're going to Shanghai, you have to check out Found 158, either for dinner or for drinks. It's fantastic.
Okay.
But that was a super fun night. Now, we did make the rookie mistake. We were out until, I think, 3 a.m. Had a great time, but that means we slept in until about 12:30 on Saturday, which, definitely got, kind of a lot, or what am I trying to say here, Jared?
You lost some good sunlight.
Exactly.
You're in a new city, and ideally, you have to balance the fun of the nightlife with also being like, I want to see the city too, and you never see you never really see the city at night. You just
exactly.
Yeah, you burn good daylight.
We did go to. We made sure that we wanted to go to a really, really famous burger place in Shanghai called Fat Cow. And oh my god, dude, this burger I had was so amazing.
What was the burger made up of?
It was good question. They had like a spicy chili sauce on it, bacon, jalapenos, spicy chili, bacon, jalapenos, cheddar cheese, and then I asked to have them put an avocado on it because I love avocado. That avocado with the spice was super good.
When you walked around Shanghai, do you see more what seems to be expats just walking around? Does it seem to be a more diverse place than Jinan? Yes. Can you see that? Because I know obviously there's still probably Jinan, primarily definitely. Chinese people.
There are a lot of Chinese people, but I think Shanghai has the highest number of expats of all Chinese cities.
Oh, more than Beijing too.
Oh yeah. Well, Shanghai also has the Shanghai has the biggest population of it is the biggest Chinese city. And speaking of that, Jared, I want to give you and our listeners some fun facts about Shanghai. So, as I mentioned, Shanghai is actually one of the world's largest cities with a population of just under 25 million people. And Shanghai also contains the world's busiest container port. And with that population, Jared, there are actually more people that live in Shanghai than the entire country of New Zealand. And also the entire, you could fit 2.5 Czech republics in Shanghai in terms of population as well.
Wow.
So pretty crazy there.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that it does feel a bit more crowded, I would say, than Beijing, in my own personal experience. Shanghai also gets a ton of rain and precipitation. We were lucky where we did not get any rain while we were there. But it rains actually more in Shanghai than it does in Portland, believe it or not. Portland, Oregon is very known.
Is that because it's on the water? Does that have anything to do with it? Okay.
Yes. Speaking of that, Jared, the name Shanghai means above or upon the sea, which alludes to the city's location along the Yangtze River Delta, which is near the southern China Sea, South China Sea. So that's kind of interesting. Now, in terms of language, Jared, I think that Shanghai is definitely a bit of a more global hub than Beijing is, and way more people in Shanghai speak English, and they speak very good English. Service people, taxi drivers, all sorts of people in Shanghai are able to speak English, and you will not get that experience in Beijing. There are a lot of people who don't speak English in Beijing.
Now, what would, maybe you don't know the answer to this question, what would be the challenge for someone from maybe Beijing or Jinan coming into Shanghai language-wise? So someone that is a fluent Chinese speaker from Beijing or Jinan coming into Shanghai, is that a challenge for them too? Or can they?
I would say yes, if the people aren't speaking Mandarin, but they're speaking the Shanghai dialect. Could be difficult to understand from what I've heard. I don't speak enough Mandarin and couldn't really hear the difference to really tell you much, but
your girlfriend knows how to speak Chinese, so I was wondering if she.
Yeah, but we didn't even need it. We spoke English the entire time we were there. Everybody.
Really? Is that easy? Oh, okay. Even with like restaurant people and stuff.
That's not true. The cab drivers. She spoke Chinese with. Restaurant people was all English. It was fine.
But cab drivers are probably
really a weird feeling.
Are probably better equipped to speak Mandarin just because of the clientele they're getting.
Right. Now, another interesting fact about Shanghai, Jared, is Shanghai actually has a very sizable Jewish community after thousands fled Europe during World War II. So there is also a Jewish district in Shanghai. I didn't go there.
Did you get a good bagel while you were
there? Didn't have any bagels, no. Did not. But Shanghai is an amazing city. It really is, and I'm hoping to go there again very, very soon. In case you're curious, Jared, you know KFC is very big in China, and actually KFC actually opened up its first batch of chicken in Shanghai in 1989, 5 years before the arrival of the first McDonald's in China. So kind of interesting.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I mean, China's a fried chicken country, you know, and I guess that really shows it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I didn't realize you were there for such a short amount of time. It seems like but it seems like for the time you were there, you maximized your time there. You used all of that time.
We really tried,
and I think that's all you can hope for.
Exactly, and you know, Jared. Shanghai is really well known for its nightlife and live music, which brings us to our song of the pod today by a group called Dirty Fingers, and the title of the song is I Like Your Girlfriend Too. You might be right.
Oh, Dirty Fingers.
You might be right, yeah.
From what I'm seeing.
So tell me, what are your thoughts, Jared, on this song?
Well, I Googled it. I Googled them. They're a Chinese garage punk band. I get strong British punk vibes from them.
Okay.
I get strong British vibes from them. Now, obviously they're not British, but I'm saying as far as a influence, I dig it. I like that kind of stuff. I wish I knew what they were saying, but I also enjoy it in spite of that fact. And
they do have some English in the song.
That's true. I mean,
during the chorus.
The song is called "I Like Your Girlfriend Too." They do say that in the song, and I dig it. I wish I knew the words though. I think for that is a barrier for me. Now maybe I'd be more into it if I was trying to learn the language more actively. But as someone that's not trying to learn Mandarin, I feel like that is taking away from the song a little bit for me.
Right.
Fortunately, almost. I hate to say it, because I love the vibe of it.
Jared. Right. It is very garage band-esque, and I will say I listened to
garage
it
band
quite a few
meaning
times.
like an indie rock band,
I would say
not
indie
garage
punk.
band.
Yeah, not
Indie punk.
Right.
Not using garage band on your Macintosh.
To me, the guitar does sound a little out of tune. I'm not gonna lie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now my ear is probably not refined enough to hear something like that.
Right.
Now maybe maybe I might be able to pick it up now that you've said it, but I'll have to go back and listen.
Give it another listen. But I think that's also kind of the punk attitude. We don't give a shit if our guitar is even in tune.
But maybe they take it a little too far with that, because there's obviously like punk really did. Was huge with like the overdoing it with the reverb sometimes and letting it sort of wail on for a little bit, but it's like you can also overdo that,
Sure, absolutely. But it's a cool song. It's definitely got an interesting vibe.
I enjoyed it,
and I've heard that this is like a must-see band if you're in Shanghai, a must-see live group. Dirty Fingers.
But they're big. Oh no, they're not that big. I'm looking at okay. So is there a big live music scene in Shanghai?
It seems like it. I'm
you
hoping
gotta
next
go back
time I'm
of
there,
course. I mean, come on.
I'll get to explore it a bit. I'm hoping to maybe see if I can go in February again.
Yes,
because I'll have
that's
some time
Chinese
off from
New
work.
Year.
So, yes, but
Okay.
it's also super expensive and super crazy to travel during that time. So we'll see.
I
keep
can
you posted,
imagine.
buddy. Yeah. But Jared, a useful thing to know when getting around China is definitely Chinese words.
Yes,
without a doubt. And my Chinese word of the pod today is guojide, which means international, because I think Shanghai is an incredibly international city. There were so many different ethnic groups and languages I heard when we were out. It was really great. Really great.
Do you feel like you've seen any sort of improvement in your Chinese since you've been there? If you say no, I won't judge you. I understand.
No,
I
definitely
understand.
not. But
It's hard.
I'm going to be traveling to Beijing in 4 or 5 days, and I found a book at this really cool bookstore in Beijing that has the 200 most used characters in Chinese. So the book teaches you how to say them and how to write them. And so I want to learn how to write these.
It's a good place to
My goal
start.
is by the end of my vacation from work, I have almost a month off. I actually have more than a month off. I want to be able to write these 200 characters. There's a few characters I can already write.
What are you going to
I
do?
have 5 weeks. Try to learn some Chinese characters.
I
my
guess,
man.
yeah, you're telling
Play
me right
guitar,
now.
try to learn Chinese characters. So that's the
Okay,
plan.
that's
Read
cool.
a little bit as well. So
Yes.
But Jared, what is your Spanish word of the pod for today?
My Spanish word of the pod is invierno,
Which means?
winter. And I bring that
nice,
up because I'm suffering through it here in Michigan.
I will tell you, I did not suffer through winter very much in Shanghai. That is for sure. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. I guess that makes sense.
Right. Time to
It's a
recap
slight
today's
relief.
episode. Right. Oh, definitely. Time to recap today's episode. I think Shanghai is definitely worth a visit. I would highly check out
betcha.
the Bund, which is this really beautiful area along the river, which has the Shanghai skyline, which is super pretty. Definitely check out Fawn 158 for amazing food and drinks and just an overall good time. And if you're going to Shanghai, I will say this. I usually don't say this when we advise people to travel, but I would actually say you don't even really need a Chinese pocketbook, or I would say keep a translation app on deck just to be safe.
Chinese pocketbook, what does that mean? What's a Chinese pocketbook?
Like a dictionary, English to Chinese
'cause
dictionary,
in the South,
or Chinese to
pocketbook
whatever
is like
your
a
native
wallet.
language.
In the south of the U.S., pocketbook
interesting.
means wallet. So I was
Interesting.
like, you don't need to bring your wallet with you.
You do need, well, if you're hooked up here in China, just bring your phone and use WeChat.
That's a good
or
point. You
Alipay.
kind of don't need your wallet.
Right. But it's such a cool city, very beautiful, very vibrant. very international, a lot of fun. Check it out. I would definitely also suggest spending at least a day at Shanghai Disney, if not 2 days if you're a super huge Disney fan. That's really up to you, but I think it's definitely worth a visit while you're there. But if you're more into just seeing... Not a huge Disney fan, but I grew up watching Disney, so I feel like it was definitely very nostalgic for me.
I mean,
I really did enjoy it.
Obviously not enough to give up a day of exploring Shanghai to go to Disney, but
right,
yeah.
Would I go there again? Absolutely. I totally would. And would I go to Shanghai again? Without a doubt, I am definitely planning on going there another time before I am done with at least this first year of my fellowship. So check out Shanghai. It's an amazing city. You won't be disappointed. If you want more recommendations, you can write us at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Slide into our DMs on Twitter, Untranslatable1, for any recommendations or questions you have about Shanghai, untranslatables, or travel. Also, check our YouTube channel for Songs of the Pod on our Song of the Pod playlist, Untranslatable Podcast. And lastly, please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Děkujeme, muchas gracias, and 谢谢.